everybody, and welcome to this short recording around an example professional discussion for early years educator structured observation 2. I'm joined today by my colleague Laura Robshaw, and we'll attempt to support you today with your professional discussion, and I'll be taking the role of the assessor, and Laura will be sharing some top tips for best practice for structured observation 2. So let's make a start. So we'd start the observation by introducing ourselves. So good afternoon, my name is Gemma and I'm the assessor, and you'd then give your provider name and provider number if you have it. And today I'm carrying out a professional discussion for structured observation 2 with Laura.
And best practice here would be with the student to say the name so you know who it is in the room with you.
Lovely, thanks Laura. We then ask, do I have your permission to record?
Yeah, the student to agree. If they don't agree or there's any reasons why they don't want to be recorded, it's absolutely fine. It's not mandatory and you can just do a written record instead.
Lovely. I also have a moderator with me in the room. If this is applicable, you can state the name of your moderator here, and then you'd go on to say something like, I've just observed you carry out an activity that contributed to the enabling environment using an interactive spot tray linking to the story Goldilocks and the Three Bears with a small group of 2 and 3-year-olds. Please explain to me, using your plan, if you'd like to, or similar, how you think the activity went and if you feel the learning objectives were met.
Yeah, so best practice here would be for the student to share how their plan linked to the criteria. So thinking about if the aims were met, if it was age appropriate, and examples of if they'd use any differentiation. For example, I plan to support children's learning development linking to their current interests in the story. The children were highly engaged, showing it was age and stage appropriate. The differentiation within my plan enabled me to tailor my questioning and support to each individual child. An example being where I focus on the sensory aspects for one child with additional needs, exploring the earths and the water, and ask questions about the story and what happened next with another child.
Thanks, Laura, that's great. The assessor might then go on to say, thank you. We'll now go through the professional discussion criteria for SO2. We'll make a start with S1.26, which is promote equality of opportunity and anti-discriminatory practice. During the activity, I observed you treating the children equally, and you've mentioned how you ensured you met their needs and interests. Can you explain more to me about how you considered this within the planning and provision of your resources?
Yeah, so again, encourage the student here to share relevant parts of the plan and explain anything else around why they chose the activity and the resources linking to children's needs and interests.
Thank you. If the students' responses are short or they're not covering the criteria, you as the assessor are absolutely fine to ask another question to gather further information or to gain clarity and deeper understanding. For example, I could see within your activity that you had the story in another language and had some resources to reflect different races. Please could you tell me about this and how your setting celebrates diversity of culture and family backgrounds within the setting?
So here you'd expect students to talk about how they supported this within the activity and the importance linking to the settings equality and equal opportunities policies and procedures. They should then go on to talk about inclusion in the wider sense and give examples from the setting, demonstrating that they're highly proactive when promoting inclusive practice. For example, through their welcoming environment, their ethos, resources, festival, events, food, send, discussions, displays and stories, just to give some examples.
Thanks, Laura, that's great. I did notice within the setting the range of resources and displays around the setting supporting what you're saying. Could you explain to me what you would do if you observed any discriminatory practice?
So to make sure you're meeting the marking bands here, the student should explain with examples of things they might have seen and done, or if they've not observed it or not had to do it, they should give some examples and explain how they would challenge this to show their understanding. It might be sharing different examples, such as if it was a child, a staff member or a parent.
Brilliant, thank you. So the next criteria is S3.7 and 3.8, which is plan and lead or facilitate educational activities and play opportunities to meet the needs of all children. This includes additional needs if relevant, within a range of areas of learning and development as stated in the early years curriculum. The questions are set out within the tutor guide, so I will just read through these to ensure all the information is captured. Please can you tell me how you recognise when a child is in need of additional support? Were there any children within your activity that needed this? How did you know and what support did you give?
So best practice would be the students to contextualise to the activity and talk about the children that they were working with and any additional support that they needed. But if it doesn't apply to those children, then they should share other examples of other children. They need to use the plan to talk about how they planned for these, again, including any special educational needs.
So you mentioned before about recognising and planning for the needs and interests of the children. Is there anything you'd like to add about how you know the stages of development of individual children? Please share the information from your plan to explain how your activity supported learning and development.
So again, we're saying use the plan within the professional discussion and how they've been planned using the early years curriculum, talking about the different ages and stages or ranges from the birth to 5 matters where applicable, and include how the children did, were they developing as expected and what the next steps might be.
Thank you. It's really great to hear how you're using the early years curriculum. So what can you tell me about the importance of maintaining accurate planning reports, observations and assessment reports? And what systems do they use at your setting?
Yes, so best practice here would be for them to share the systems that they use and demonstrating their understanding of the observe, plan, assess, review process.
So is there anything else you can tell me about the importance of the prime areas of learning for children's holistic development?
So yeah, again, sharing the plan with you, talking about the prime areas and how they underpin the specific areas of learning and development.
Great. So can we extend that then? So can you explain a range of underpinning theories and philosophical approaches to how children learn and develop and their influence on practice?
And again, encouraging them to share the plan again, talk about what they've included in the plan, were they seen in the activity, did they underpin practice? Is there anything they might change or any theories that they would use next time?
You've talked about the early years foundation stage, but is there anything you'd like to add about the current early years requirements?
So on this bit, if they've covered about the EYFS, they might have covered about birth to 5 matters, but if not, they might want to cover that a little bit more. They might want to cover areas such as the welfare requirements, the learning development requirements, and demonstrating their understanding of the statutory framework. They may then reference the non-statutory documents or anything else that they use at placement.
Thanks, Laura. And lastly, is there anything you'd like to tell me about how planning is informed by working alongside parents and other professionals?
So here the students should share how they worked with colleagues and parents to support the planning. It should be contextualised within the activity and what they might do next. They could also share their understanding of importance of working with others to support children to progress.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No?
Would you like me to go over any of the criteria or are you happy with the responses you've given?
I'm happy.
Thank you, Laura. That's the end of the discussion. So thanks for joining us on this recording. We really do hope that it will support you with structured observation 2 for the early years educator pathway. Please do look out for more videos on our YouTube channel as we'll be recording for SO3 for early years educator and also some recordings for the assistant teaching pathway as well. Thanks so much, Laura.
Thank you. Bye.